I became a United States citizen in 2005, 20 years ago. I raised my right hand in front of a judge. I swore an oath to defend this country. I said the words out loud. I meant every single one. And 20 years later, my neighbor stood in front of my apartment, in front of Mr. Garcia getting his newspaper, in front of the young couple walking their dog, in front of everyone. And she said, "Go back where you came from, you illegal." Before I tell you what happened, mijo, if you're new here, subscribe. These stories, they travel far. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I like knowing who's sitting with me tonight. Illegal. She called me illegal. I was standing on my own balcony, holding a watering can, watering my plants like I do every morning, in the home I pay for, in the country I am a citizen of. And she looked me in the eyes, she smiled, and she called me illegal. I wanted to speak. I wanted to show her my papers, my certificate, my 20 years. But my voice was gone, my throat closed. I stood there frozen, holding that watering can, unable to say a single word. She turned around, she walked back to her apartment, the door closed behind her, and everyone just stared at me. I went inside, I locked my door, I sat on the floor, and I cried. For 3 days, I did not leave my apartment. I thought about moving. I thought about giving up. I thought, maybe she's right. Maybe I don't belong here. Then my daughter called me, and everything changed. Let me tell you what happened, all of it, from the beginning. My name is Rosa Santos. People call me Tia Rosa. I am 48 years old. I work in the kitchen of a hospital here in Houston, Texas. I make meal trays for patients. Chicken, rice, jello, soup. Same thing every day. I've done this for 5 years now since my husband Javier died. I live in a small apartment in southwest Houston. 2nd floor. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. I pay my rent on time every month. I keep my plants on the balcony. Tomatoes, peppers, herbs. I water them every morning before work. I keep to myself mostly. I say hello to my neighbors. I go to the building meetings. I follow the rules. There is a woman who lives 2 doors down from me. Her name is Mrs. Carol Johnson. She is about 65 years old, white hair, always wearing a cardigan, always holding a coffee cup, and always watching. She sits on her balcony every morning, and she watches. She knows when I leave for work. She knows when I come home. She knows who visits me. She knows everything. Some people in the building called her the neighborhood watch. I called her nosy, but I was polite. I always said good morning. I smiled. I kept walking. That was my mistake. I should have paid closer attention, because while I was being polite, she was deciding something about me. She was deciding I didn't belong. It started in March 15th, 2025. I remember the date because I wrote it down later. I was coming home from work. About 7 in the evening, tired, carrying 2 bags of groceries, walking toward my door. Mrs. Johnson was on her balcony, coffee cup in hand, staring at me. I said, "Good evening, Mrs. Johnson." She didn't smile. She didn't nod. She just stared. Then she said, and I remember every word, "You know, this used to be a nice neighborhood before all of you moved in." You. She said it like that, with a pause, like the word tasted bad in her mouth. I stopped walking. I looked at her. I said, "Excuse me." She said, "You heard me." Then she went inside, door closed, conversation over. I stood there for a minute. My hands were shaking. I didn't understand what just happened. Did she really say that? Did I imagine it? I went inside, put the groceries away, sat on the couch. I kept hearing her voice. "Before all of you moved in." I told myself maybe I misunderstood. Maybe she didn't mean it that way. She's old. She's probably just set in her ways. I let it go. That was my second mistake. She didn't let it go. She was just getting started. April 22nd, I was taking out my trash. She was standing by the dumpster. She looked at me and said, "Make sure you close the bags properly. We don't want rats. You people bring enough problems already." You people. May 9th. I was checking my mailbox. She walked past me and said, "I hope you're not getting government checks. I pay taxes. I don't want to pay for people like you." People like me. June 18th. I was watering my plants on my balcony. She came outside, looked at my tomatoes, looked at me, and said, "Those plants are blocking the view. You should move them, but I guess you people don't care about things like that." You people. People like you. You people. Every time she said it, I got smaller. Every time she said it, I felt like I was disappearing. Like I wasn't Rosa anymore. I was just a category, a problem, a thing. I stopped going outside when I heard her door open. I started checking the hallway before I left my apartment. I started timing my trips to the mailbox for when she wasn't around. I was hiding. In my own home, in the country I am a citizen of. I was hiding from a woman with a coffee cup and a cardigan, and I hated myself for it. July 10th, 2025. I will never forget that date. It was a Saturday morning, beautiful day, warm, quiet. The sun was bright. I was on my balcony watering my plants like I do every morning. Mr. Garcia from down the hall was outside getting his newspaper. The young couple from the first floor. I don't know their names. They just moved in. They were walking their dog. Normal morning. Peaceful morning. Then Mrs. Johnson came outside. She looked at me. She didn't look away. She walked toward me. She walked all the way to the edge of my balcony. She stood there, close enough that I could smell her coffee. And she said, loud enough for Mr. Garcia to hear, loud enough for the young couple to hear, loud enough for everyone to hear, "You and your people are ruining this neighborhood. Go back where you came from, you illegal." Illegal. The word hit me like a slap. I stood there frozen, watering can in my hand, water dripping onto my shoes. Everyone stopped. Mr. Garcia stopped. The young couple stopped. Even the dog stopped. Everyone was looking at me, and I couldn't speak. My throat closed. My heart was pounding. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell her, I am a citizen. I have been a citizen for 20 years. I have the certificate. I have the papers. I belong here. But the words wouldn't come. She looked at me. She saw me standing there frozen, unable to speak, and she smiled. She smiled. Then she turned around, walked back to her apartment, closed her door, and I was still standing there, holding that watering can, with everyone staring at me. I went inside. I locked my door. I sat on the floor, and I cried until I couldn't cry anymore. For 3 days, I did not leave my apartment. I called in sick to work. First time in 3 years, I had called in sick. I did not answer my phone. I did not check my mail. I did not water my plants. I just sat on my couch, staring at the wall, hearing her voice. "You illegal," over and over, like a loop I couldn't stop. "Go back where you came from." I started to wonder if she was right. Maybe I didn't belong here. Maybe I was fooling myself. Maybe no matter how many years I lived here, no matter how many oaths I swore, no matter how hard I worked, maybe I would always be illegal to people like her. Maybe I should just move, find a quieter place, a place where no one knew me, a place where I could disappear. I thought about calling my son Miguel, but I didn't want to worry him. He has his own life, his own problems. I thought about calling Sophia, but I was ashamed. I didn't want her to see me like this, weak, broken, hiding. On the third night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, watching the fan turn, asking myself one question over and over: what do I do now? On the fourth day, my phone rang. I almost didn't answer, but I saw the name on the screen. Sophia, my daughter. I picked up. I tried to sound normal. I said, "Hola, mija." She said, "Mama, I've been calling you for 3 days. Why aren't you answering? Are you okay?" And I broke. I told her everything. The comments, the stares, the escalation, the word illegal, the silence, the hiding. She listened. She didn't interrupt. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Mama, you are a United States citizen. You have been a citizen for 20 years. You work. You pay taxes. You pay rent. You follow every rule. You have every right to be there. And she has no right to talk to you like that." I said, "But everyone heard her. Everyone thinks I'm—" She cut me off. "It doesn't matter what they think. It matters what you know and what the law says. You know who you are. You know your rights, and you need to fight back." Fight back. I sat with those words. Then Sophia said something that broke me open. She said, "Mama, you taught me to stand up for myself. Remember when I was in nursing school and that professor treated me like I was stupid because of my accent? You told me, do not let anyone make you feel small. You belong there. Fight for your place." I remembered. I did say that. I said exactly that. Sophia's voice got softer. She said, "Mama, what are you teaching me right now? What are you teaching my children, your grandchildren? Are you teaching them that people like us don't fight back? That we just take it? That we hide?" She was right. I had spent my whole life teaching my children to be strong, to know their worth, to never let anyone make them feel like they didn't belong. And here I was, hiding in my apartment, crying on the floor, proving Mrs. Johnson right. I wiped my face. I sat up straight, and I said, "Okay, mija, tell me what to do." Sophia said, "First, you need to write everything down, every single thing she said, every date, every time, every witness. Get it out of your head and onto paper." So I did. I went to my desk. I opened my notebook, the one I use for grocery lists and phone numbers. I turned to a fresh page, and I started writing. March 15th. This used to be a nice neighborhood before all of you moved in. April 22nd. You people bring enough problems already. May 9th. I don't want to pay for people like you. June 18th. You people don't care. July 10th. Go back where you came from, you illegal. 5 incidents, 4 months, all documented, all dated, all real. Then I picked up my phone. I called Mr. Garcia, the neighbor who was outside that Saturday morning. I said, "Mr. Garcia, this is Rosa from down the hall. I need to ask you something. Did you hear what Mrs. Johnson said to me?" He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Yes, Rosa, I heard every word, and it was wrong. If you need me to say that officially to anyone, I will. I'll testify." I called the young couple downstairs. They said the same thing. "We heard, we saw. That was not okay. Whatever you need, we're here." I had witnesses. I had dates. I had documentation. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than shame. I felt power. Not angry power, not revenge power, something quieter. The power of knowing the truth is on your side. Now I just needed someone who knew what to do with it. Sophia helped me find a lawyer, a civil rights lawyer named Mr. David Chen. He had an office downtown. I called him. I told him my story. I read him my notebook. I gave him the names of my witnesses. He listened carefully. He didn't interrupt. When I finished, he said, "Mrs. Santos, what Mrs. Johnson has been doing to you is illegal." Illegal. She called me illegal. But what she was doing, that was the illegal thing. He explained it to me. He said, "This is harassment based on national origin. It's also discrimination under the Fair Housing Act. Federal law protects you from this. What she's doing, the comments, the pattern, the public humiliation, all of it violates your rights." I said, "Well, what can I do?" He said that we have several options. We can send her a formal cease and desist letter. We can file a complaint with the building management. We can also file a complaint with HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development. If she continues after all that, we can take her to court. Court. I didn't want to go to court. I didn't want drama. I didn't want my name in the newspaper. I just wanted peace. I just wanted to live in my home without being afraid. I said, "What do you recommend?" He said, "Let's start with the letter. A formal legal letter on law firm letterhead. It tells her exactly what she's been doing wrong. It tells her it's illegal. It tells her to stop immediately. And it tells her what happens if she doesn't stop." In my experience, most people stop after a letter like that. They realize they're not dealing with someone who will stay quiet. They back down. I thought about it. I thought about Mrs. Johnson opening that envelope, reading those words, realizing that I knew my rights. I said, "Okay, send the letter." The letter went out 1 week later, certified mail. That means she had to sign for it. She had to open it. She had to read it. Mr. Chen showed me a copy of what he sent. It said, "Dear Mrs. Johnson, this office represents Mrs. Rosa Santos, a resident of your building. It has come to our attention that you have engaged in a pattern of harassment and discrimination against our client based on her national origin. This includes, but is not limited to, making repeated derogatory comments such as, 'You people like you,' and 'illegal,' as well as publicly demanding that she go back where she came from. These actions constitute violations of the Fair Housing Act, which prohibits discrimination and harassment in housing based on national origin. They also constitute civil harassment under Texas law. You are hereby ordered to cease all harassing and discriminatory conduct toward Mrs. Santos immediately. Any further incidents will result in formal complaints being filed with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the Texas Workforce Commission, Civil Rights Division, and your building management. We are also prepared to pursue civil litigation if necessary. This letter serves as formal notice. Your conduct is being documented and monitored." I read that letter 3 times. Every word felt like a brick in a wall I was building, a wall between me and her cruelty. 2 days after the letter arrived, my phone rang. It was the building manager. He said, "Mrs. Santos, I received a copy of the letter from your lawyer. I want you to know that we take this very seriously. We've reviewed the complaints. We've spoken to Mrs. Johnson. She has been given a formal warning. If there are any more incidents, any at all, she will face eviction proceedings." Eviction? I didn't want her to be evicted. I just wanted her to leave me alone. I said, "Thank you. I just want to live in peace." He said, "You will, Mrs. Santos. You have my word." After the letter, I didn't see Mrs. Johnson for 2 weeks. Her balcony was empty. Her door stayed closed. No coffee cup. No cardigan. No watching. I started watering my plants again. I started going to the mailbox without checking the hallway first. I started saying hello to my neighbors without fear. Then one evening, about 3 weeks after the letter, I was coming home from work. And there she was, on her balcony, coffee cup in hand. I walked past her. I didn't slow down. I didn't speed up. I just walked. She saw me. And for the first time since I moved into that building, she didn't say a word. She looked smaller, quieter. deflated, like someone who had been caught. I walked to my door, I unlocked it. I went inside, and I smiled. Not a mean smile, not a revenge smile, just relief. It has been 6 months since that letter was sent. Mrs. Johnson has not spoken to me, not one word. She doesn't stare anymore. She doesn't make comments. When she sees me, she looks away. The building is quiet now, and I am not afraid anymore. Let me tell you what I learned from this. First, document everything. I know it sounds simple, but when someone is hurting you, your instinct is to forget, to push it away, to pretend it didn't happen. Don't do that. Write it down. The date, the time, the exact words. Who else was there? Put it in a notebook. Put it in your phone. Put it in an email to yourself. Just get it recorded. Because when you're standing in front of a lawyer or a building manager or a judge, your memory won't be enough. You need proof. You need documentation. You need dates. Second, find witnesses. I thought I was alone. I wasn't. Mr. Garcia heard what she said. The young couple heard what she said. They were willing to speak up. They just needed me to ask. When something happens to you, look around. Who else was there? Who else saw it? Talk to them. Ask them if they'll support you. You might be surprised how many people are on your side. Third, know your rights. I am not a lawyer. I don't know all the laws. But I learned something important. There are laws that protect you. The Fair Housing Act says you cannot be harassed or discriminated against because of where you come from. That's federal law. It applies everywhere in this country. It doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not, but I am a citizen, and I have been for 20 years. If someone is harassing you based on your national origin, your race, your religion, your gender, you have legal options. You can file complaints. You can get lawyers involved. You can fight back. Fourth, silence is not peace. For 4 months, I stayed quiet. I told myself I was being polite. I told myself I was avoiding drama. I told myself it would go away if I just ignored it. It didn't go away. It got worse. Silence doesn't make bullies stop. It makes them feel powerful. It makes them think they can do whatever they want. The only thing that made Mrs. Johnson stop was knowing that her actions had consequences, that someone was watching, that the law was on my side. Fifth, fighting back doesn't mean fighting. I didn't yell at Mrs. Johnson. I didn't threaten her. I didn't knock on her door and cause a scene. I documented. I gathered witnesses. I called a lawyer. I used the system. That's how you fight back when you're dealing with someone who thinks they're above the rules. You don't get angry. You get organized. Let me tell you something, mijo. This wasn't just about me and Mrs. Johnson. This was about something bigger. There are people in this country who look at someone like me, someone with brown skin, someone with an accent, someone who came from somewhere else, and they decide just by looking that we don't belong. It doesn't matter that I'm a citizen. It doesn't matter that I pay taxes. It doesn't matter that I work hard. It doesn't matter that I follow every rule. To them, I will always be illegal, always be you people, always be less than. And they count on us staying quiet. They count on us being afraid, being polite, being grateful just to be here. They count on us believing that we don't have the right to fight back. But we do. This is my country, too. I raised my right hand. I swore the oath. I meant it. And nobody gets to tell me I don't belong in my own home. Sophia called me last week. She said, "Mama, I'm proud of you." I said, "For what, mija?" She said, "For not running away, for fighting back, for showing my children, your grandchildren, that we don't accept being treated that way, that we have rights, that we use them." I thought about my grandchildren, little Leo, who is 7, baby Carmen, who just turned 2. Someday, someone might look at them and decide they don't belong, might call them a name, might try to make them feel small. And when that day comes, I want them to remember this story. I want them to know, your abuela didn't run. Your abuela didn't hide. Your abuela stood her ground, documented everything, and used the law. And when it was over, the bully went quiet. That's what I want them to learn. Not anger, not violence, but strength. The strength to know your worth, to know your rights, and to use them. If you're watching this, maybe you know someone like Mrs. Johnson. Maybe you have a neighbor who says things, a coworker who makes comments, someone in your life who makes you feel like you don't belong. Or maybe you're going through something worse. Maybe you're being harassed. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you don't know what to do. Here's what I want you to tell you. You are not alone. What's happening to you is not okay, and you have more power than you think. Document everything. Find your witnesses. Learn your rights. And don't stay quiet, because silence is not peace. Fighting back with the law, with documentation, with truth, that's how you find peace. Tell me your story, mijo, in the comments below. Have you ever been treated like you don't belong? Have you ever had someone try to make you feel small? What did you do? What do you wish you had done? I want to hear from you. I read every single comment, every one. And if you're going through something right now and you don't know what to do, leave me a message. Maybe I can help. Maybe this community can help. You're not alone. Thank you for listening to this old woman's story. If it touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who might be hiding right now. Someone who might need permission to fight back. And if you want more stories like this one, subscribe. Click the bell. I'll be here. I'm always here. This is Tia Rosa from Houston, Texas, United States citizen since 2005. I raised my right hand. I meant every word. Sending you love.